Hi there and welcome back to the channel. I'm Kasim, the owner of quite a few businesses really. Most of you are on here because of my journey around AudioFlow. So just a bit of a recap, I left my $100,000 role to go all into AI. And I've set up a AI business, an agency, as well as an actual SaaS tool called AudioFlow, as well as looking at some of my existing businesses as well, including Unscripted Talent, which is a talent management agency, and my marketing agency as well. So I just want to kind of just give you a quick update just because it's been a while. It was school holidays last week, and when you've got the kids at home, it's really hard to like focus on work and actually get some videos out there in the world as well. So yeah, now that back, I'd love to give you an update about where I am and how I've been updating two things really over the last two weeks, and looking at landing pages that I've been building on Lovable, as well as how that all ties into school, which is Alex Amosi's business. So just to kind of give you a quick update of what's going on. So with AudioFlow, things have been a little bit slow just because with a SaaS tool, which is business to business, last week was school holidays, so a lot of kind of stakeholders and business people were off. But one thing as well is like going into B2B, the hardest challenge is actually the wait time of getting a product into a business. So even though I built an AI SaaS tool, which basically turns any kind of documentation or anything into podcasts, and you can have multiple guests in different languages, the tool's great, people are loving it. But the hardest challenge with this whole world is getting through what they call the procurement team and the data security team. So with large language models, people don't want to input business sensitive data onto a system which potentially could be training a large language model and then exposing the world to businesses' strategy, sensitive information, and so forth. So there's a lot of kind of scrutiny that businesses need to do in order to enhance the kind of collaborations that they do with different partners. One thing from my perspective as well is that I'm going through ISO 27001 certification, which basically gives them like a stamp of approval that the software that I've built is actually audited by external companies and has been given the green light to use, as no data is going to get risked. So that's a lot of kind of hard work from myself in order to get achieved. So I've been doing a lot of things in the background. Of somebody told me from another business who has something similar to kind of a podcast environment. They basically said that when they started off their business, they did something called keep the lights on project work. And basically what that means is do some jobs where you're still paying your bills, because obviously without having a regular income from a job, you're not actually receiving income. So you need to start thinking about like how else you are going to be bringing in income until the bigger business starts achieving that monetary goals. And that kind of just basically meant that I had to go back into work directly into my agency. So I've got a marketing agency that predominantly works a lot with like dental and healthcare industries. And what we do there is that we basically do things like Google ads, Facebook ads, and just drive leads to customers, to the dental practices, as well as content creation. We all have also started doing AI automations and AI receptionists as well, just to support that kind of full customer journey for the dental practices. So I've kind of really been focusing on that. But one other thing that I don't think I've talked about before is I actually own a talent management agency as well called Unscripted Talent. And basically what we do here is that we work with brands to kind of do the collaborations between brands and the creators that we have on our books. And then the way that we earn money is that we add a percentage on top of each deal. So say, for example, if it's 30%, if a brand pays the creator $1,000, we will add an extra 30% on top of that, so $300. And then we will take that $300 as our commission, basically. So one thing as well with this creator economy is that we actually get a lot of inbound inquiries of people wanting to be signed. And we get messages on a daily basis. I think we've just got two now, just basically saying, hey, can we get signed? How do I become a creator? All the rest of it. So one thing I've kind of always had this in my mind, just because I've come from a learning and development background and build e-learning, is to build a course or a community around becoming a creator. I've been thinking actually about this for about over a year, 2 years, even before the whole AI trend came into the world, about how we can potentially build courses for upcoming creators. And there's a platform called School, which I've been really looking into at the moment, where there's some really big people who basically monetize the hell out of this by building audiences, by building communities, and then monetizing that community. So there is a list of different ones here, which you can kind of go to scroll through. So there's like random stuff like here, like that pickable school. And then you've got all these like zero to founders. So you can kind of scroll through the school communities to see which ones are kind of doing well, which ones are what types of things people are interested in. And because we keep getting like messages about how do we become an influencer, how do we get signed, I really have been thinking like, how do we become the first talent creator agency on School who really wants to really push it and build a community around everything about becoming a creator. And I know this is kind of pulling me away from AudioFlow, and people might say that, hey Cass, you kind of focus on too many things. But right now I need to kind of, like I said before, is keep the lights on. So this is something what I've kind of think is a quick win. So what I'm going to do is talk to you about what I've actually built, how I've built it, and then also using Lovable to build me a landing page to create a waitlist, which is currently active, and we have people on the waitlist, as well as using my own tool that I've built, AudioFlow, to create all the courses on here, which is a quick win and a really good case study if this does well. So on my own School community, so we've created this thing called the Classroom, and these are basically just AudioFlow podcasts. So the strategy was to kind of launch with some sort of content on here. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be high-end content like videos. It could be something like podcasts. And because of AudioFlow and the kind of tools that we have, we were able to rapidly produce around about 20 podcasts. So to the consumer, they don't know that these aren't real people speaking. But obviously, as AI evolves, this is just the world that we're in right now. So basically what this does is on here is that in the Classroom, we've basically built different influencer kind of courses. And I've got all these by just chatting to ChatGPT about like, if I'm an influencer, what's the beginner stage podcast that I need? What's the middle ground and what's the advanced? And we can keep adding more onto here. So most users, what they'll do is that they'll kind of go in here and then the audio is literally there. So they can listen to it, they can download it. And yeah, so that's basically like the Classroom. The whole purpose of these school communities is to build communities and get members into them who talk about the same subject. So in our case, it's going to be people who want to be an influencer. How do I become an influencer? I might have a following, but how do I monetize? And that's basically going to be the kind of concept of our school community. And what we'll be doing as well as a kind of like collective, as my team and I, is that we're going to be doing weekly sessions with the community, and then we're recording that and then keep putting the recordings into the Classroom as well. So there's going to be our sessions with us, and so people can do Q&As with me and my team, as well as using our influencers as well. So we have around about 40 influencers on our books at the moment. Influencers who earn anywhere between like $1,000 to $15,000 per month. And what we're going to be doing is talking about how you can obviously become better in order to then attract brands to work with you. And then potentially somebody might want to own their own brand or might want to do something else like build their own school community. It's kind of showing them the options and saying this is how you can actually monetize. And what I've done is that on our social channels, is that I've actually ran a ad, which I went live yesterday with. And so I've just basically just done a simple reel. It's currently got 10.4 thousand views. That doesn't obviously mean people to the page, so the waiting list page. So I think we've had 250 visitors and we've had 40 signups so far onto the waiting list. That doesn't mean that they're going to be paying onto the school community, because that's the next job. So I basically built this landing page on Lovable, basically. Sorry, I'm just on a new Mac, so getting used to going from a PC to a Mac. So just really nice, clean, simple offering. So what the whole purpose of the community is going to be is to, if people listen to what the advice is that we give them, they can potentially get brand deals between 90 days or less and collaborations. So just kind of showing a few little things that we've done and some of our current influencers, some of the brands that we work with, what's going to be in the community. So they're going to learn, they're going to collaborate, they're going to monetize. Add a nice launch on here as well. So just kind of like talking about, this is the launch aspects of like when we're actually launching, build up a bit of hype and a bit of what we're going to be doing. Actually, I want to add it is limited slots for an X amount of price. So it'll probably be like 100 first signups will be at X amount. Anything after that point, there will be a price increase just to increase some scarcity as well. So just kind of just talking about what else we do, and then there's a simple like form fill here, which is name, email address, their social handles, so we can obviously see their social handles and potentially go from there. And yeah, so the whole aim of this is to potentially find some really unsung heroes in the creator economy who might not be signed, and hopefully sign them as well. So I built this in like literally an hour of just playing around on Lovable, which is driving, like I said before, currently the ad is going to here. People are joining the wait list, and then the aim is then to communicate to them probably the day before we actually go live on school. And then I will be just launching like a pre-launch offer, because the thing with school is like the more people on the community, it's kind of like a club, isn't it? So you don't want to go into a club, a bar, or anywhere where it's empty. If it's a restaurant, for example, if you saw a restaurant with one person in there, you're going to be like, oh, it must be rubbish. But if you see a restaurant with like buzzing and it's got loads of people in there, you're going to be curious, going to go, what's going on over there? And that's basically what these school communities are. Once you have like a certain group of people in there, then you keep advancing to kind of get more. So the first kind of 100, we're going to be lowering down the offer to get them in. And then anybody else after that point will be raising our prices. I think we're going to be starting off at like $59 per month, or I might do it if you pay up front, then you can get a discount. And then we'll be increasing our price when we hit that threshold of probably like 100 users. So I'm going to be running a lot of ads to kind of drive this, and reinvesting some of the money that we make from school to keep advertising this on a monthly basis, and hopefully start getting a lot of traction to this, and build a community that people want to be a part of. That's the goal. We've actually recorded like a really nice video on that as well, and kind of so somebody lands on the page, it shows that we're a bit high end, that we know what we're doing. And then I've done like a UGC kind of like video like I'm doing to you now, just me talking through what's going to be expected. So I'll keep you posted on that, because it's a nice little avenue income as well, like revenue stream. And the funny thing is, while I was thinking about this, then an influencer actually came out of the blue who has like 600,000 followers over TikTok and Instagram, who does a lot of like bodybuilding, and he's basically a posing coach. So when people are like bodybuilders and they want to learn how to do all them flexes that you might see online, he basically teaches them. And the first thing that came to my mind is we could actually build a school for this person. Because imagine if you were to get 0.5% of 600,000 to sign up. Now that doesn't sound, it sounds a lot when you go, okay, so that potentially could be like 2,500 people. But when you actually do it in percentage value, it's nothing in comparison of his whole community. So I'm going to be working with him in order to build a school page around that. We've agreed terms, and also we're going to be representing him as well in his kind of like journey of becoming a creator who monetizes, basically. Because the funny thing is, not all influencers who have a following can monetize, because their audience is so sporadic. And when you work with brands, and when you work with kind of like these collaborations with like the Adidas's or the Gymsharks, whoever, they want to focus on where their customer base is. So if their customer base is mainly the US or UK, they're not going to work with a creator who has 600,000 followers who are based like in India and Mexico, because it just won't work for them. There's no point of them spending money where they're not going to get a return on investment. So that's really interesting. And yeah, I'll keep you up to date on that. But obviously I know by doing this and focus on this, it's actually taking me away from doing AudioFlow, which is the big picture, which is the main goal. It's really easy to kind of get distracted and go, okay, if I hit 500 members on here, I can bring this much money in. And if I was to get this other influencer and we were to get like 600 followers with that person and members, this is how much. It's still hard work. It's still something that needs to be done, and time needs to be spent on it. And it's tough, because then I'm running the agency, I'm trying to build AudioFlow, now I'm doing this. And I really don't want to kind of keep sporadic, because I have really noticed once I shift into kind of focusing on the new shiny thing, which is potentially going to create me money, over the long term, actually compounding the proposition that is working has always actually made me the most money. So like the agency that I've been going for 5 years, that's actually made me the most money so far, just because I've been compounding over years and like building relationships. And the good thing with that is, now that I have all these relationships in the dental industry, introducing things like AI automation has actually been pretty easy. It's been easy just to go back to previous clients or people I spoke to in the past. And it's actually a new way just to go back to them and say, hey, we've been doing AI automation, we've built AI receptionists, we've integrated in the systems that you work with. Now do you want a conversation? And then we start plugging in like other services like the Google ads, Facebook ads to them. So it's a bit of a weird one, even though I know I get very distracted when it comes to the shiny new thing. So yeah, I really want you guys just to have a quick clarity of what I've been up to. If this works, then great. If not, then we go back to AudioFlow and just basically focus all into the agency and kind of just creating more clients off the back of that. So I'll keep you guys up to date. Hopefully next week I'll give you more of an update on AudioFlow and where we're at with that. Any new AI tools that I've built, I'll keep you up to date on that as well. So just to kind of bring it back to like the lovable builds that I've been doing. So I did a session on, I built a CRM, which is basically the dental CRM that a lot of dentists use. I built that in Lovable just so I can show people how to build it. I did a session as well to dentists, and we talked about like the AI trends that are happening and what's going to be used for them. So that was cool. So yeah, I'll give you guys an update very soon on what else is going on. I'll try to keep it more regular as well. But if you do like these stories and you do like to come on this journey with me, if you just like, share and subscribe, I'll be very appreciative of that. Speak soon.